see here psychology, and this is what we've been seeing. If we come and do something else, Android development, Rito Mayer is my favorite. All right, so things are actually working still. That's very good. Now, the idea really is to have something like this, right? And I hope you were able to come up with something similar to this at least. If not, no worries. We are going to go over all of these things so you can actually have an idea on how to do this. That's the whole point of this course, I guess. Okay, let's go ahead and figure out how to do this. All right, now, the main thing here, going back to our book search, we have this card. This works fine, and we're happy, and there's nothing wrong with this. So we're going to restructure all of this to make it even better. So instead of builder, again, I know we're going back and forth here. I'm going to change this again. So I'm going to just try to get all of this out like that. And the first child here, I'm going to pass right after the expanded is going to be a sized box, because I want to control the height and width of each card. So I'm going to say width, let's say it's going to be 300, and the height is going to be about 200. Okay. And while I'm here, what do we need to do is I'm going to wrap this, all of this expanded inside of the row, because I need to make sure that there is a row where we're going to put this list view items, cards in this case, that will allow us to go left and back. That will allow users to scroll left and right. So I'm going to say row like that, and I can change this child here. So if I say command period, I can convert that to children, which is exactly what's needed. All right, so we're getting there. Now I have the expanded, and I have the size box. So size box also has a child member. This is where we're gonna pass a list view, not a list view builder, because we need to do a few other things there, simplify our lives. I'm going to say scroll direction, it's going to be axis, horizontal, very good. And then for its children, this is where we're going to put the card. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do something different. So instead of putting like this, the square brackets to say we're going to put a list of items, I'm going to actually return a create book cards method, which should return an array containing all these widgets. Okay, and for that to work, we need to pass a list of books as well as the context. Let's go ahead and create this awesome method. All right, so create it at the bottom here, or create method, or create book card. All right, even pass the context and list of books. Well, here we are going to do a few things. Remember, this has to return actually a list of widgets. So a list of widgets like this. We're going to just put generic widget, because remember, this is being called right here. Just go to save so it formats everything. That's what we're calling here. And notice that we're not going to put again inside of square brackets, because we know that it's returning a list, so we don't need to put the square brackets where this is called. As it says here, this function has to return a list of widgets. So we're going to do that. Now, first I'm going to create a list of widgets here. Okay, I'm going to call this children. Going to instantiate it to empty. The idea is that as we go through this list of books, which will have information, will have the actual book object, we're going to create that card, and then we're going to return that card, which is going to be a widget, which is then going to be shown or fed to our list view there. That's the idea, right? So how do we do that? Very simply, we are going to create a for loop here. I'm going to for, hit enter. I'm going to say for var book in books. So I can just change this to books, which will simplify our lives. It's a list of books, same thing. So this is where I'm going to create that widget and add to our children, in this case, a list of widget. So I can just kill 2 birds or 10 birds with one stone by saying children, call that children. Because it's a list, I can say .add, invoke the add method there, and then add, start constructing, in this case, the widget. So in this case, it's going to be really something like this. You can say, you can create anything you want, but we're just creating each one of these. All right. Okay, let's see if we can do this. All right, so what are we going to do? First, we're going to create a container just to contain or organize everything. I'm going to give it a width of about 160. And let's also give it a margin while we're here. I'm going to say const edge insets symmetric. I'm going to horizontal to be about 12.0. Okay. Very good. Let's go ahead and put a semicolon where it's due, and let's continue. And then I'm going to add a decoration, right? Because I want to decorate that box. So I'm going to use the box decoration. And for a box decoration here, we can go to town. We can do whatever we want. In this case, I'm just going to make things easier. I'm going to put the border radius, call the border radius all, so around, put the radius circular that is, and pass about 5. That's all I'm going to do for now. All right, now remember, we inside of a container, that means it has indeed its child. There, we can pass a widget. This is where we're going to pass a card. This card, we can do all sorts of things. I'm going to give it an elevation of about 5, just to pop up a little bit, give a color. I'm going to say hex. All right, I'm going to use that hex color. Let's see, hex. There we go, hex color. And I know these colors already, so I'm going to just paste them in here. So F6, F5, actually F4, FF as such. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to pass a child also because we inserted a card. And here is where I'm going to pass a new widget you may not have seen called the wrap. Wrap widget allows us to wrap, as the name implies, something that we want to have a little bit more control over. If you hover over here, you can see there's a lot of properties we can pass for a wrap widget. Okay, we can wrap cross alignment, text direction, all sort of things. Okay, and you can read more about it. It says by default the wrap layout is horizontal, and both the children and the runs are aligned to the start. So everything starts from the left. Okay, so we're going to use it. Now the wrap here, I can pass children, because that's what it requires, because we can actually wrap a bunch of widgets inside of the wrap widget, no pun intended. All right, what is the first thing we want to do? Well, at the top, let's start with adding something. Let's just add a list tile for now. Let's list tile as such, and I'm going to give it a title, and the title is going to be text, and the text here, I'm going to call this book. Right? Remember, I have access to the book because because I'm inside of a for loop, so I'm looping through and getting the book each time. So I'm creating the actual card, and I have access to the book object that is, and let's get a title for now, just like that. Okay. And while I'm here, I'm going to subtitle. It's going to be text. Let's say book, and get the author. That looks good for now. Now I will have to obviously return it. So right at the bottom there, notice that I have the container, okay, and then I have the end of what? Click there. It's going to be the end of the for loop. It has to be the end of for loop, or outside of for loop, I should say. And I'm going to say return that child or children, like this. Remember, this children is going to be a list, as you see here. That will be a list of widgets, which is exactly what we need, because we need to pass a list of widgets, or we pass there inside of our list view. Okay, let's see if this is going to show something pleasing to the eye, hopefully. Let's say Android development, and voila. Look at that. Okay, it went and got the books and created indeed the nice card, and we have the title and subtitle. If I go and find something else, maybe something less development related, let's say Gone with the Wind, hit enter, and voila, it still works. So it goes and gets all the books, 10 of them so far. And let's see if this works for something else. We can go and say JavaScript, hit enter, and there we go. JavaScript books. So it's populating, everything is working great. Now, the other thing we can do while we have all that information, so back down here in where we're creating our card, create book cards, inside of our children here, we just added this title there, but we can do something else. We can add, actually, we must add something else, which is an image. I'm going to say that network. Okay, that's what I'm going to pass there. So I'm going to say, just to make sure, I'm going to say book.photo URL is null, if that's the case, or book.photo URL is empty. In either case, that's the case, then you're just going to add some image from somewhere, in this case from Unsplash images. So I'm going to just put here the link, okay, just to save ourselves. And if that's not the case, then I'm just going to say book.photo URL, because in this case we do have a link to show. All right, let's save this. All right, and while we're here, because I know this image network here, there is another property we can pass, which is the width and height. So we should use that to make sure that we don't end up with a large image. So I can say height. I want the height to be about 100, and I want the width to be about 160 for each book. Okay, let's save this. Let's do the same with main, just because that's what we need to do so far. Okay, let's go back and search for Android development. Hit enter, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. It is indeed working. Now, of course, there's some work we can do, for instance, to make sure that the text doesn't overflow like this. That's something I actually would like you to see if you can do that. Make sure that there is either ellipses or the text cuts off a little bit if the text is too long. But as you can see, it is working. All of that because we compartmentalized our code. We made sure to create, in this case, a create books card. Make sure it's a list containing widgets. And that's what we do, right? We create this children widget, list of widget that is, and then we loop through all of the books that we're receiving, right? And then we add that into our children list. In this case, this is where we are creating this card. Quite nice. So we can put whatever we want there. And there we go. And of course, then this is called right here. Remember, do not add the square brackets because that is implied already, because this returns a list already, okay? That is something to always remember. So the next thing I want you to do is to fix things a little bit. Make sure that perhaps you can put an overflow for text that is too much. Go ahead and play with that. Great, I'll see you next.